Once upon a time, a country dad named Jerry came to rescue a city girl named Felicity and her city partner Peter from the long and never-ending list of things to do in their brand new 1830s farmhouse. Hey friends, welcome back to Honey Apple Farm and the next installment of Dad Days. So if you're just joining the journey, Peter and I bought an abandoned 1830s farmhouse in Western New York last year. We moved in at the end of February this year and we're completely overwhelmed by the number of gee, it'd be nice to do this right now projects. Enter my dad, who came out for a week-long visit in April to help us tackle some of the most important projects on that list. In today's episode of Dad Days, we're going to continue working on the clothesline, and we're going to tackle the first indoor project, which is building an insulated box to keep our water pipes from freezing. So let's get started. Good morning, friends. It is day 4 of the Dad Extravaganza. We have a couple projects going on this morning. Dad is taking advantage of a break in the rain to get the second post for our clothesline propped up like this one. The main focus today is the kitchen extension basement. The plan today in here is twofold. Dad is going to build an insulated box around our water pipe. What we have been having is a space heater here to keep it warm, because otherwise the pipes freeze and we don't have water. So he's going to build a little insulated hut with a milk heater in it instead, which should help. So that's one project. And then the other project, the kitchen is above this extension. And as you can see, there's no insulation whatsoever in these beams. So we have 2 rolls of insulation, and the plan also is to put some insulation up here in the ceiling so that our kitchen floor is less chillingly cold in the winter, and also when it gets warm, hopefully it will be a little bit cooler than it might otherwise have been. So while Dad is working on the posts outside, I am going to get going on moving all of these.
The other way to do this is to do it while the concrete is still.
Right, so that the concrete holds it up.
Yeah, so the concrete holds it up.
I see.
Okay.
Happily, that didn't take terribly long. Small windows, held up by the saw. Big windows, thank goodness for these pallets. They're so helpful. And then back here, all the wood, also on a pallet. Yay, pallets. All right, so Dad is working on the Quikrete outside because it's staying dry for the moment. And I am going to take this opportunity to try to sweep up at least once in here because, my God, there is just stuff everywhere. Well, friends, the first round of Quikrete is in, and we've run into a little problem. That is an entire 60-pound bag. We thought the 60-pound bag would work for both posts, and we have just used all of it on that one post. So Dad is off to the hardware store to get at least 2 more bags. Bum ba bum ba ba dum ba dum. Well, it's not clean enough to eat off of by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a great deal better than it was before. You can actually tell that it was at one time blue. And it still looks dusty, but you know, decently dusty, as opposed to that. Mixing up the Quikrete. Oof. There's a lot of dust in there.
Yeah.
Gallon of water goes into the Quikrete. So while Dad was showing us how to mix up the concrete, he also made sure that we understood the difference between concrete and cement. You guys probably already know this, but in case you, like Peter and I, did not know the difference, concrete has gravel in it, which this stuff does, and cement, like the nice cement that they use to make sidewalks, does not. So generally speaking, when you're building, you want the rocks in that because that helps hold things together. But if you want really fine work, you're going to want cement. So after Dad showed me how it was done, I had a go at it. And I have to say, it's obviously not something I'm very good at. You can tell by the total lack of technique here. But I did find that it's very like mixing up a cake batter where you're trying to make sure that the flour is incorporated throughout the entire mixture. Come on, baby, everybody in.
Yeah.
As Mom would say. A little bit on the lip, but that's all right. We can
Yeah, there's going to be.
scrape that in.
Yeah.
So after we got the 300 pounds of Quikrete in, which is 5 times the amount that we expected, this was my very favorite task, was poking at it to make sure that none of the air holes were going to do anything funky. It was ridiculously satisfying and not a little bit sploogey. So naturally, literally just as we were smoothing out the last of the concrete, it started sprinkling. It's supposed to sprinkle through most of the rest of the day. So I guess we seized our window at exactly the right time. Hopefully that sets. It takes about 24 hours before it can be load bearing, and it's supposed to be dry tomorrow. So we would love to put the top pieces on and the line on tomorrow, but we'll just have to see if the weather cooperates. Well, you can't really tell because, of course, it's still kind of grungy, but it is way less cobwebby than it was. The only thing I discovered of interest is this. It was up on one of the shelves up there. It's obviously some piping of some kind. I'm putting it in the metal recycle, but wanted to document it first before it goes away. The next project is already underway, and that is to build a casing to go around the water pipe. And the idea is basically to build a box out of stuff we have on the property, which is why it looks pretty janky. Free is a very good price. And then we're going to line it with the styrofoam insulation inside, and then it will be powered by this tiny little heater, and that should keep the pipes warm.
Yeah, that will work.
That will be fine. Just put a front door on that and put the insulation.
Insulate it and
call it job well done.
yeah, well,
Perfect. Hey, for this house, it's very well done.
Well,
Witness the beams that don't actually connect to anything. This is a major step in the right direction. One of the great things about having Dad come to visit was to see his tools and knowledge in action. So I have not built a lot of things in my life, and I never liked those story problems in math class that were, oh, if somebody has this much wood and that much wood and they have to build this thing, how big should it be? So having Dad here to show how to use his tools and explain how to measure and explain how to draw straight lines with them was fantastic. I particularly loved this square. Now, this, of course, is a big one. However, Dad did leave us with a baby square when he left, and we are very excited about that. Chugga, 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 chugga.
let's see, about that much will go into the wood.
Okay.
You can just see the
Yeah,
point
yeah,
coming
yeah.
through. So
Okay.
those nails are 1.25 inches.
Ah, okay.
Now, if I had thicker wood, I
Uh-huh.
could use a longer nail as well, but
Ah,
Well,
this is not very
that's
thick.
the nails
Focus.
used
There we
will be determined by thickness of the material you're working with.
Well, that makes sense. And explains why There's a whole aisle full of different length nails.
That's right. Hit the nail on the head.
Whoa!
You're not. If you watch them build houses and garages, they'll actually put the plywood over the window openings,
Yeah.
and they'll come back and cut them out after the
Oh, for the same reason, I assume.
same reason.
So that you have a perfect fit. So as expected, the last piece of foam insulation, although measured appropriately, is a little too big because our construction is not exactly square. So we're just going to shave off a tiny wee bit, and that should do it. Moment of truth. It fit before the insulation. Does it fit now? Over. In.
That's basically it.
Yep. And the heater goes in that little space there on the floor. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba! Everyone meet the Icehouse. We left the scrap wood off the front so that this panel can come out and we can lift the thing off if necessary. So the reason we call it the Icehouse is because it reminds me of the concept of an ice fishing hut. I've never been to an ice fishing hut, but the idea of keeping something toasty warm in the middle of a very cold environment appealed to me. And since Dad installed this, we did have some freezing nights after his visit, and the Icehouse worked perfectly. We have not had frozen pipes again, and our energy bill dropped significantly because we were able, A, to stop running the space heater in that room, and B, turn the overall thermostat for the basement down to 50 as opposed to 65, and our following electric bill was about half of what it had been before Dad's visit. So the Icehouse was a smashing success all around. Unfortunately, this is where we leave today's adventures because that Icehouse took way longer than we expected to measure and cut and assemble. Some of that had to do with the fact that we were trying to use scrap material that wasn't exactly in the best condition. So we leave you here at the end of this Dad Day with the clothesline ready to assemble on the morrow, a completed Icehouse, and a basement that is ready for ceiling insulation. So thanks so much for sticking around. I look forward to seeing you in the next Dad Days video. Bye for now.